everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with a video. Today we're going to be talking about unboxing the Cricut EasyPress 2. So I'm going to walk you through all of the different options that come with the EasyPress 2. I'm going to show you on the 6x7 inch model. I've been using a couple of the other models for the last 2 years, so I have a lot of experience with them and I can walk you through how they work, how I recommend you use them, as well as some information on the EasyPress mats. So if you're curious about how the EasyPress mats work, how the EasyPress 2 models work, definitely stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button and then click the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future content. And also hit the like button. It lets YouTube know that you actually like my content and it tells me that this is content you want to see. So I definitely appreciate it. Let's get to unboxing and seeing how this looks. Okay, let's get a close-up on the Cricut EasyPress 2. I wanted to show you guys as close-up as possible so that way you know exactly what it looks like. And I chose the 6x7 inch model. I'll show you on some of the other ones that I've had longer that are different sizes. There are 4 different sizes that you can choose from, and then later in the video you can take a look at those too. So the box arrives like this. It tells you this is iron-on success in 60 seconds or less, no guesswork, flawless transfers, lasting results, all of that. So if you turn it around, it talks to you about the different features, that the results last, that it has gentle heat and pressure that you can use, and then you can set the temperature and time. This talks to you about all of the different options that come with this that are really wonderful, and we'll talk more about this after we open the box. And then it tells you the key features, what's included, and what's recommended. So the key features is this is a compact size because this is a 6x7 inch one. They recommend it for baby clothes, hats, napkins, and other small projects. This has a ceramic coated plate. It's easy to learn and use, temperature control up to 400 degrees, and you can use intricate transfers. Lightweight, portable, easy to store, compatible with different types of heat transfer material. So what's included in the box is the EasyPress 2, a safety base, a welcome book, and the materials for a practice project. So let's take a look. This is what the top of the box looks like, and look at all these cute inspiration pictures. All of these really want to make me, create something fun. So these are really, really neat. Let's open the box. So if we turn the box around, looks like this. This I did buy separately. This is the EasyPress mat. We'll talk about this in a moment as well. So when you open up the box, it has the welcome booklet on top. So it says, let's do this. Let's open up the welcome booklet. You guys are opening it up with me because I thought you guys would want to see as is. So it has the Cricut EasyPress 2. It looks like there's different layers. This is a welcome book that comes with it. It gives you an index. It talks about there's some examples right there. It talks about the welcome, and you can register your machine at cricut.com/register. Tells you what's inside the box, including safety, instructions, and a warranty. It gives you all of the information that you need about how this functions. It tells you how you can use this, and we'll talk about this further. The instructions for how to use it. So setting time and a temperature, how to prep. If you have any questions about how to use a Cricut EasyPress, you can go to the link down below. It's the heat guide. The heat guide will walk you through all of this as well. It talks about preheating material, positioning it, flipping and repeating, and then how to finish off your project. And then it talks about these are some tips for making your projects last. An example of a cute project. Talks about different iron-on materials or manchas, and setting a firm foundation, how you should use it, flipping and pressing, working with seams, getting the right peel, thinking about fabrics. Then it talks about the different machines that are available as well as the mats. And then it talks to you about how their products work. So, and then here's some useful links at the back. These are actually links I will include down below as well. But all of those are really helpful if you have any questions too. So here's this quick start guide. It tells you for the practice project what you can do for instructions and how to create. And I'll walk you guys through this practice project as well so that you can see as well how this one works. This is part of the practice project. Isn't it cute? This is, as you can tell, this is an iron-on decal with the Cricut symbol. So they use iron-on glitter. And then this is the side where the adhesive is, where it has that kind of flat texture versus the really shiny one. So we'll set this one aside. The safety instructions and the warranty, your registration code for your product. So I'm going to set those aside. And let's break into our box here. So there's a little protective covering there. And it looks like you can lift it. There is the little base plate, so it's wrapped separately. The base plate is what you put on the iron on, and it protects this from the heat dissipating out there. So because it's raised a little bit, it gives it a little bit more room for the heat to dissipate completely. And there's a little bag. This is for your project on your first one, and inside is your EasyPress. Then in the bottom of the box, it was just more of the protective material for this. So you can see there is the cord. This is our first project here, which is this bag. And it's nice if you wanted to put your stuff away. You can always put it inside the bag when it's cool as kind of a protective thing. But I think this is a great way to store extra craft materials. So that's probably what I would use it for. So there's our machine. It is wrapped up, so I'm going to take some scissors and unwrap this. Isn't this such a cute size? This was the original smaller size of the EasyPress 2s before the mini came out. So we'll talk a little bit about what types of projects this would be really useful for. I'm going to also unwrap this. So this has a warning. It tells you the maximum input that you can use for this. So here are the items outside of the box that you get. You get all of those, the welcome book, the quick start guide, the warranty information. You also get your first project, which is this cute little tote bag. And you get an iron-on decal that you can apply to your tote bag. We'll do that project as well, so you guys can see it. And you get your machine as well as this really cool stand here. This is what keeps this nice from heating up the whole area, and it protects everything. You just set it right into here. This is your little base. And it does have a warning on it. It says, this Cricut EasyPress operates at high temperatures that can cause burns or other injuries. Used with extreme caution. So of course, whenever you're working with something that is a heat base, you always want to take extra precautions with it. Let's go ahead and plug this in, and we're going to talk about the different settings and how this works. Let's talk a little bit about all of the different features for the Cricut EasyPress 2s. If you look at this, it has a really neat streamlined safety base. So it has extra ventilation, plus it's ergonomic, so that way it keeps everything exactly where you want it. When you're working on a project, it's really easy to just set it in there and you don't have to worry about it. The base on this handle is super easy to use. It's one of my favorite features of this is that you can just grab it and work with it, and it's nice and secure. I feel like when I'm using this, it's not going to go anywhere. Also, when you flip this over, you'll notice it has a ceramic coated plate. The ceramic coated plate gives you precise temperature across the whole plate, and so it gives you much more control and professional results. The heat control on this can go up to 400 degrees, which is awesome. It gives you more variety of materials that you can work with. And also it has a shut-off feature that goes off automatically after 10 minutes of non-use. So it's really great as a kind of a nice safety feature. In case you're working with something and you forget to turn it off, you have that kind of auto safety feature with it. Let's talk a little bit about the buttons and the display across the top. It's actually quite easy to use, and I find it very nice for projects because it keeps it so much more easy to make sure that you hit the right temperature and the right time. To use the EasyPress 2, you'll turn on the power button. As you'll notice, it has a standard set temperature. That only changes once you adjust the temperature. So there's a little temperature button. If you wanted to change it, you would press this button. It will flash, and then you can press it up to whatever temperature you want, or you can press it down. So that's something to keep in mind. You can also adjust the time with the little timer here, and you can say, okay, I want this to be maybe 15 seconds. So you can adjust this down to whatever time, whatever temperature you want, or you can adjust it up. As you notice, this button is red here, the little Cricut symbol. This will light up and tell you when it's the correct time to be using it. So when this is green, you know that you've hit the right temperature and it's ready to go. So you only press this button once you're ready to use it for your project. So let's take a look. While this is heating up, let's take a look at our settings for our project. So this is the quick start guide for our sample project. We're going to set the time and the temperature. So we've already plugged in our power. We're going to set the temperature to 290 degrees. I hit my sample temperature. It also makes a handy button noise here, so you always know what's going on with this. So I'm going to set the temperature to 290 degrees and set the timer for 30 seconds. So we're going to press the temperature button. We're going to go up to 290. And then we're going to set the timer for 30 seconds. Yep. Set the timer for 30 seconds. And now what we'll do is wait for this to heat up. Let's go over our project here. So we're going to find our surface. We have to use a firm and flat surface. We need to make sure we avoid flimsy padded ironing boards. And to protect your surface, use an EasyPress mat or a fluffy folded bath towel. So I have an EasyPress mat here, and I'm going to go ahead and unload this. There are two sides to the EasyPress mat. There's the downside here, and there's the top side. So you know which side you're going to be using, and it even has this handy little tag. You know if the tag is sticking up, that you have it the right way. So this is ready to go. You always want to use something that is the right size for the project that you're working on. Cricut makes mats in a ton of different sizes, so it's just something to keep in mind. If you're taking a look at your Cricut EasyPress mat, you may not see all the features that are built within it. The first is that it has a durable cover, which helps give you even heat distribution. There's a special liner inside that helps to wick away moisture so you get a clean, dry heat. This makes sure that moisture doesn't get in contact with your surface, and it makes your adhesive on your iron decal stick better to your project. Also, there's a foil membrane that reflects heat back to your project, and it prevents moisture vapor transfer. There's a layer of silicone foam that shields your surface from damaging heat below, and there's a protective bottom barrier that seals together the layers for best results. So if you've tried a towel versus a mat, you'll notice a big difference immediately. The first is just really easy to work with because it is so stable, and I always notice I get really great results with it. Okay, so our next step is once the temperature's set, which it is, and it's ready to go, we're going to place the press over the drawstring bag, pressing for 5 seconds to remove wrinkles and moisture, and never skip this step because it's important. The reason that we do that is to prepare the material for receiving the adhesive. So if you have the material too cold and you're trying to stick the adhesive to it, it's not going to bond as well. So that's why we always preheat what we're working on, and then we apply our decal. So we have that. We know we're going to preheat our material. We're going to position the material where we want it for our decal. It says position it onto the center of the bag, shiny side up, which is a clear liner up. There are two sides whenever you're working with something. There is the matte side, which is the adhesive side, and there is the shiny side. This is with the carrier sheet. It'll have a shiny side to it. So the shiny side will always go up when you're adhering it. We're going to press it by we're going to apply this and press it with a timer, and then we're going to flip and repeat it. So when the iron on still feels warm, we're going to test a corner, and we're going to check and make sure that this is working correctly, and if it's not, we'll add a little bit more heat for a few seconds, and then we'll remove it, and we should have our finished bag. So I'm going to walk you guys through how that step looks in action. Sometimes when you read it, it doesn't make sense until you see it. So I always like to show what it looks like in action so you can see it. The first thing for us to do is to make sure we have our mat or our surface that we're going to use, which this is the perfect size if you look at the little bag here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my bag to exactly where I want to place the little symbol. Make sure that I have it even. That looks pretty even there. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to place the iron on here for 5 seconds. So exactly where I want it. I'm going to press and hold this with light pressure for 5 seconds. And you can see the outline of where we were working. So now that that's warm, what we can do is place our little decal in the center exactly where we want it. And what we'll do is you can put a sheet of parchment paper if you like over that just to protect it, or you could use an iron-on protective sheet as well. That's an option. We're going to place our EasyPress 2 on top. We're going to press the button. We're going to apply light pressure to it. And we're just waiting for the timer to count down on this. So we know it has to be at 290 degrees for 30 seconds. So we're just placing light pressure on it and it's going to adhere to it. So we're going to give it the full amount of time. It's almost there. It's a really quick project to do. Okay, so we know that's good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. We're going to place this back on our mat, center it again, and we're going to place this for 15 seconds. So you don't have to worry about resetting your timer. You can start it, and once you hit that 15-second mark, then just remove it, and you know you've gotten it. So we're just waiting till it hits 15 seconds, and then we'll remove it. Okay, now we can flip this back over. We need to leave this so that it can cool down just slightly. So not all fabrics and iron-on interact in the same way. So what you have to do is check out the instructions on the Cricut heat guide, and it will tell you if it's a hot peel, a cool peel, what temperatures to set it to. I'll leave that information below so that you can take a look at it. But for this were the settings to use for this particular project. This particular project also is a warm peel. So what we're going to do is allow this to sit and before we peel this off. So it needs to sit and become warm rather than hot. Right now it's hot. If we tried to remove it, it would probably remove the decal from there. So we'll let it sit and cool down for a few moments. If you're wondering when to remove the clear protective coating from this, what you'll do is give this a little bit of time to cool down no matter what you're doing. Even if it's a warm peel or a hot peel, it still needs a few moments to cool down. Generally, it's going to ask for something like a warm peel, which is you'll let it cool down for a little bit. You can kind of test it, and if it still feels hot, just let it sit for longer. Once it feels warm to the touch rather than hot, then that's a good time. If it's a cool peel, I would rather leave it and let it sit longer, and it should have no heat feeling on it. So that's the big difference between them. So for this one, it still feels pretty warm. So we're going to leave this a little bit longer. Okay, now that this has had some time to cool down, let's go ahead and remove the clear protective sheeting from it. We're going to start in a corner, and what you can do is lift up on the corner and start pulling back a little bit. If you see that it isn't adhered to the bag itself, you can always press this back down and then give it a little bit more time on the heat, but don't give it too much more time. I would only go half of the time that you would need on this, and that's usually pretty rare that you need to add more heat. Definitely don't add more pressure than they ask for, so if it says light pressure, continue with light pressure and maybe half the heat of it. So let's remove it. It looks like it's doing great. This is the clear protective film we're removing from it. This is kind of a small antenna, so I'm just removing that. And then there we go. Super cute, right? Our project is good to go now. We can take a look at it. This is one of my favorite things is Cricut's iron-on glitter. Isn't it beautiful? So pretty. So hopefully that helped you guys so you could see the process. Let's talk a little bit about the other options for the Cricut EasyPress 2s, and I will bring them out so you can take a look at them and see the difference physically between the different machines. So we have all of our machines here, and I thought I'd walk you guys through each different one so that way you can take a look and kind of see some differences between what they look like, and maybe it'll help you make decisions if you're deciding between which one you should pick and which one would be right for you. So the Cricut EasyPress 2 on the 6x7" size, this is the one we unboxed, and this is a really great one, especially if you're thinking about something like smaller projects such as pillows, home decor, banners, anything for children would be amazing for something like this. This is a really great all-purpose one, and it's nice and portable enough that you could put it on a shelf and it wouldn't take up a ton of space in your craft area. So if you have limited storage for your craft space, this is a great one for that, because you can use this even on bigger projects. You can press one half of a bigger project with this and then press the other half. So if you're worried that you need the biggest pieces to create a project, you don't. You can get something small and portable just like this. It would be amazing for that. There's also the 9x9. This is kind of a great middle ground. It's all purpose because you can do most designs that you would be thinking of wanting to do in something like this. So a lot of adult t-shirts you can make within this size frame, the 9x9. You can make kids t-shirts, blankets, pillows, banners, all sorts of things like that. Because of this size being kind of a nice middle ground, this is just a great all-purpose one. There's also the 12x10 one. This is the one I would recommend. If you see yourself doing a lot of t-shirts, especially adult-sized t-shirts or large oversized items like blankets, this would be amazing for. So if you see yourself doing it in something like more professional of a setting, or you want to make sure that you're doing tons and tons of t-shirts, that's a great one. The warning just went off and let me know that's been sitting too long. Let's talk about the EasyPress Mini. This one is super adorable. It has all of the same kinds of features as the other ones. It has the little safety plate. The bottoms on all of these will look the same. You have that nice ceramic coating on there, so that way you get a good heat result and it's even. If you were wondering the difference between this and a regular iron, I know it's got kind of a similar shape as a regular iron. The difference is this one has straight heating across the whole bottom. The whole element will be heated to the same type of variation between it. If you're using a regular iron, because of all the temperature variations, the little holes, they cause fluctuations across different sections and different zones. So this makes it so you get a nice even heating result across the whole thing. Also, because it is so small, it's very ergonomic, easy to use. You might use something like this for maybe a stocking, maybe a stuffed animal. I've definitely used it for stuffed animals. You could definitely use it for banners as well. Any type of project that's really small or maybe has some nooks and crannies that are difficult to get into, this is a really great project for. The heating setup for this one is slightly different as well. There's a temperature setting on here. As you can see, there's a little temperature button, and there are 3 different levels. So if you press it once, it turns it to low, press it again, turns it to medium, press it 3 times, and it turns it to high. So how do you know if it's hit the right temperature? Let's put it to low. Well, you'll know if it's hit the right temperature because this will turn green. So let's go ahead and we'll set this in a safety plate and let it do its thing while we're talking. It'll make a beep when it's ready, so that way you know it's ready to go. And this does also have the heat shut-off feature. After a certain amount of time, it will turn off, so that way it isn't wasting electricity, and it's just a nice safety feature. So I've spoken to a lot of people who ask me, which EasyPress should I get? So what I would do is I would ask you initially, what are you looking to create? That's the biggest thing. When you're trying to decide between all of these different features, which one are you looking for? Are you going to be making a lot of children's shirts? Are you making a lot of home decor? Are you making things that are smaller, like maybe you have a business where you're making little Dollar Tree items that are customized? Something like the little mini would work out perfectly. So you can see this is green right now, so that means it's ready to go. So you can start using it on your project, and then when you're done, you can just return it to the heat base. And when you want to turn it off, you just press the temperature button, and then it'll turn back off. So you just press it to cycle through the different temperatures until it turns back to off. And you can put it right back in the base. I've tested all of these different ones multiple times, so many times. The EasyPress Mini I've used to make probably 900 different masks. So this was my go-to on mask making, and it was super, super helpful. So I am definitely a huge fan of the mini. It has lasted me through months and months of constant daily use and still is doing great. I've used this one for a ton of projects that are larger. I've used this one for a lot of the medium-sized projects over the last 2 years, and I do think they're totally worth the money. They're a great investment. If you have budget options where you're trying to make sure you stay within a certain budget, don't discount the smaller ones. You can do a lot with the smaller ones. It just might mean you have to make your project in sections when you're applying it. So it's just something to keep in mind. But overall, I'm really a huge fan of all of these. I would just say if you're making adult-sized shirts, choose something maybe a little bit larger like this or this one would be amazing for adult-sized shirts. If you're working with a lot of smaller projects, maybe consider something like the 6x7 or the mini. I'm a huge fan of the mini. So hopefully this answered your guys' questions, and if you guys would like to see more iron-on projects in the future, leave a message below so I know to make more projects like that. If you guys haven't yet, check out the live classes that I have over on my Facebook group. There's a link in the description box below. I host live classes on Saturdays. You'll find me there in the afternoons, and we can chat and craft and learn some new skills together. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!